So good news, I'm back on Discord again. My old phone was so messed up for the past 2 months that I couldn't even get on Discord because it would just crash the app over and over again. But now I'm back on the USAirsoft server that's filled with all sorts of fans talking about just about anything you can imagine. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting to join a USAirsoft Discord server, so go ahead and check out the link that'll be left down below in the description. From there, you can talk to other fans of USAirsoft and me. And if you join, you'll know exactly when new videos go on the channel. So, I hope to see you all there.
Do you think the M4 is the best platform for beginning airsofters? And if so, why? I've been asking this question to as many people in the airsoft community and industry that I can. I've wanted to get answers from techs, store owners, podcast hosts, longtime players, milsimmers, speedsofters, and so on, so I could make the most definite video to explain why the M4 is the absolute best platform in all of airsoft for new players. This might seem rich coming from someone like me who said that the M4 is kind of boring, but hear me out. I've been playing and working with airsoft for over 6 years now. I've been to a lot of places to film airsoft, and I've learned a bunch of reasons why to recommend this rifle platform that you might consider to be overused. So let's go over a couple of those reasons, so maybe we can help out a few future airsofters out here. This starts off with reason number 1. Availability/expenditures. You can get just about any gun that you want that exists as a real firearm as an airsoft replica, and you've probably seen some really bizarre or rare guns if you've been looking up different replicas on YouTube or on airsoft retail websites. Gas blowbacks, for one, look awesome, and maybe that GHK SIG is probably going to be your first gun. That's really cool, but can I ask you something? Did you look up the prices for magazines? I mean, that's a lot of cash for a single magazine, and you're probably going to need more than just one if you want to stand a chance at a game. Do you know how to maintain and clean that replica, or how to repair parts, or even find parts if something breaks or wears down? With an M4 AEG, like this one, I can get dozens of different styles of magazines. I can get replacement parts or attachments on probably any airsoft retailer that exists, or in any airsoft walk-in store. And even if one of the M4 options that you were looking at is out of stock or discontinued, you'll find another one that you'll like pretty quickly. If you only have a budget of $200, look into some of the G&G Armament M4s or the dozens of classic Army models. These companies know there's a market for airsofters on a budget, so they've got a lot of options for you. If you have $300, that just means you can now look into Crytax or some of the KWAs, or even some of the higher end stuff from classic Army and G&G. And if you have some money to throw around, then the $400 range will get you a VFC Avalon, one of the H&K M4 variants, or a Toku Marui. There are very few airsoft manufacturers that have never made an M4 AEG, so you have hundreds of options. Far too many than I can list in one video. Never get too picky or go for something really unique for your first gun. You'll only drop a lot of money for something that won't help you perform better than anyone else on the airsoft field when playing your first ever games. You can treat your first games as a crash course to give you experience. No amount of Call of Duty or Battlefield will be enough to prepare you for the physical activity you'll be exerting on yourself and the behavior of real people that you'll be going up against. Long story short, you don't go and get a Ferrari or a Porsche as your first car. So you don't go looking for an M1918 BAR or even an L85 variant if you haven't even been to a field or an arena before. Get something simple, or just get your hands on an M4 as a rental gun so you can get some vital experience. Reason number 2, customizability. There is no other platform more customizable than the M4. You can start off with a basic M4A1, but if you don't like the retractable stock or you want some more battery space, then go get a full stock and throw it on. Swapping barrels, controls, adding on extended mag wells, or even doing a high pressure air conversion isn't much of a problem as long as you have the funds and the tools. The AK has a lot of variants too. Maybe you want an RPK or an AKS-74U or a regular AKM, but switching between these variants is nowhere as easy than with an M4 and its variants. The version 2 gearbox inside the M4 has also had everything you could imagine done to it with thousands of parts. This is going to go right back to our first point of availability if I talk about all the parts that you could acquire for an M4 build, but I think you'll get the point pretty quickly. I mean, this absolutely stunning rifle began life as a PTS and GMP Car 15. The ease of customization is just too easy, and with the M4 being the standard for several military forces, you can guarantee people want to replicate the loadouts they've seen, hence the reasoning behind a lot of the VFC 416's fame. Next up, Reason number 3, tech support. This is going to sound very pessimistic, but I promise you that sooner or later, you'll need to make repairs to your primary. That goes for any gun you use. If it's an AK, a P90, an LMG like an M249, and of course, if you have an M4. But having an easier platform to work on can make the difference of being able to make a 5-minute repair and getting back into the game, or having to order some more complex parts that might keep you out of the rest of the games for the day if you only took that one primary. I've seen a lot of guns break or go down on the field in my years of playing Airsoft, but that's not always the end when it's an M4 that goes down, since someone out of the 20 to 40 or even more players that are attending the same field as you're at should know how to take an M4 down to see what your problem is and to quickly fix it if possible. A lot of fields even have their own techs on standby that can help you out. Most of the time, they'll have some replacement parts too, so if your M4 locks up, starts to drop in accuracy out of nowhere, or if you need to swap out the mainspring, it could be as easy as fixing your motor high adjustment, sliding off the upper and hop-up unit to replace your bucking, or just throwing in a new spring through a quick spring release hole in the back of your gearbox. These are all fixes that any tech knows how to accomplish in a matter of minutes, and if you're willing to learn a thing or two, so can you. Reason number 4, why the M4 is the best beginner platform. Team support. With how many M4 sales are made in Airsoft, it's safe to say that it'll be the most popular thing that you see at just about any field you go to. Even at events, it takes a lot of dedication or some rules to make it unpopular amongst a team that should be using AKs, like at a Middle East theme event or an American versus Russian event. So if most of your team is using this platform, even at your first Airsoft skirmishes, then you have a slight advantage for using one. Magazine compatibility and control familiarity can be very useful, especially in game modes like Attack and Defend, where you'll be laying down a lot of fire. Using guns like my Galils, or even my more uncommon guns like my King Arms FAL, has ruined my effectiveness several times when I empty every magazine that I've got during those long games. But when I use a standard M4, or just a platform that can accept M4 magazines like this really strange Real Sword Type 97B, I know that if I need a magazine, there'll be a whole bunch of teammates running the same magazines that I can just borrow so I can stay effective. Now, something I've always taken the fun out of would be movie scenes where a character or a whole cast has great looking but completely different weapon platforms, like in the movies Heat and The Town. If any of these guys needs an extra magazine, they're kinda screwed. Especially Tom Sizemore's character in the final bank robbery scene in Heat. No one else is running an IMI Galil, but at least he's using the same 5.56 NATO ammunition. But I doubt in the middle of a firefight with police, he'd be hand-loading his 35-round magazines. The Town is much more evident of this issue. Just watch the first bank robbery scene or the final shootout near the end of the movie. It's a whole mixed match of platforms and calibers, meaning everyone is on their own if someone needs a magazine or ammo. There's just not much magazine compatibility going on in either of these movies. I know I'm going a bit off track here, but using those movies as an example why magazine compatibility is important translates over to Airsoft pretty clearly. Just be thankful that we don't have to worry about ammunition differences as much. But those are just a few reasons why I think the M4 is objectively the best platform for Airsoft beginners. But I did ask a lot of people why or why not they think so as well. And a lot of these quotes reflect some of the points that I've made. Anthony on the USAirsoft Facebook said, "To beginning airsofters, just get one. You'll figure out why later. Your second gun can be whatever you want, but an AR should be your first buy, always." When I began buying up guns and gear to start playing, I didn't listen to this, and I bought a $300 plus gas blowback WE M14, and I tried to field that. And I only bought one single 20-round magazine. I didn't think I would need more than that, even though I had no idea what to expect at a real Airsoft game. Needless to say, I got destroyed, and soon after, the rifle exploded. That was $300 down the drain, and I had to work a whole lot more to get $200 more so I could get a SEMA CQB-R, and I ran that for about a year. Once I was comfortable, I got my favorite gun in all of Airsoft, my ICS Galil AR. But that SEMA M4 taught me a lot about Airsoft, and I never had the problems that I had with my more unique and costly gas blowback rifle that I understandably had no idea how to maintain. Gun Gamers Eric said, "The M4 is the most versatile platform in general. There are enough things to be done with it that an M4 makes a very logical beginner platform. Of course, lots of companies also put their best technology at the most affordable prices into M4s as well. which makes them the dominant species for beginner guns. That said, I also think AKs have their place for beginners, particularly the SEMA Stamped Steel series. I can attest to this as well, as I've seen so much technology tested first in M4s before implementing that tech into other guns. Some of the stuff I've seen inside ICS brand guns and G&G M4s is insane, and I'm happy to see those upgrades sprinkled into other guns they produce, like their AKs and even their M14s like G&G's electronic trigger units that make trigger responses so much more responsive. On the flip side, the AK platform has many advantages over the M4, so don't doubt an AK if you really aren't interested in the M4 or any of the things that I've listed here. Asking Jet the Desert Fox, I believe an AK is a better beginner airsoft gun, mainly because the high cap magazine they come with, usually about 500 to 600 BBs, that's potentially twice as many rounds as a standard M4 magazine. This is very true. Some people can't afford 12, 8, or even 2 extra magazines with their budget, and sometimes beginners go with just a single high cap magazine. This is something the AK has over the M4 platform, and admittingly, the larger magazine options like drum mags tend to be of higher quality internally and externally than a lot of the M4 box magazines on the market. If I make a video over why the AK is better than the M4, then you can expect to hear more about this in that video. Joel on the USAirsoft Facebook then follows up with, yes, because it's such a common platform, and you'd be hard-pressed to find an airsoft tech that doesn't know the ins and outs of them. Also stuff like parts availability, generally easier to get cheap, etc, etc. None of those advantages made me get an M4 over a SIG 552 as my first gun though. Sometimes personal preference just wins overall, and I'm happy that Joel found something that really worked out for him. His points are pretty spot on though. With 17 years of involvement in Airsoft, Scoutthedoggie said that the M4 is absolutely the best option. I would point all new players to an M4 as their first gun. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, when I talk to new players and they say, my first gun is going to be a sniper rifle, I despair, as a new player with a sniper rifle is as welcome to an Airsoft team as a bad case of flatulence in a spacesuit. I can't say that I'd recommend a bolt-action sniper rifle to newbies either. You'd be picking one of the most difficult playstyles to begin with. It would be like buying a brand new game that you've never played or heard about and setting it to its most difficult setting so you could speed run it. It's not wise. Silo Entertainment stressed that the brand you choose is more important than the platform, and Cole of Another Serious Airsoft podcast mentioned a bit of the same. And then finally, Novritsch said that the M4 is the most popular platform in Airsoft, therefore it sells the most. This is why most Airsoft brands are directing their R&D focus on creating the best beginner M4, which is why the most popular platform will always be the go-to for beginners. I got a lot more quotes than this, but most of them are in agreement that the M4 is definitely the best platform to venture with when beginning in the hobby. But there's also people on the other side of the discussion, so there's a lot that could be said, especially in the comments down below, and I absolutely welcome the discussions. The more info that there is for people to look up to get settled in Airsoft, the better. So go ahead and comment or leave a like on this video if you'd like to see more videos like this one. I've got a couple in mind, like 5 reasons the AK is better than the M4, and why sniper rifles make for a terrible first gun. I'd have a lot to say for both of those videos, and hopefully the virus clears up enough so I can get people's opinions in person at the fields that I go to. But I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'd like to thank every one of the channel donators who support the USAirsoft channel directly. Becoming a member unlocks perks like helping with titles, watching videos before they release to anybody else, and knowing what's coming up next before I publicly release any information. And of course, getting a shout out in every normal video. So why not become a member today by clicking this button on the USAirsoft homepage. So thank you Easy Zandy, Kiwi Spartan, Lone Wolf, Western Gilbert, and William Temple. And big shout outs go to these past live stream donators. I said that I'd give you a shout out, so here you guys go. But until that next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Hollenbeck, and I'll be sure to see you all next time.